Very pleasant good afternoon to all of our viewers. We are delighted to have you with us on Let's Talk today, being the 15th of May. We are continuing our series on health, and this afternoon we want to talk about the very important topic of can I be a health fanatic? A diet fanatic, that is. We have a very, very special guest with us today. I will be introducing our special guest in a moment, but before we do so, we would like to invite you to bow your heads for a word of prayer with us. Eternal Father and our God, we thank you for the privilege of sharing with our viewers, our friends, our listeners around the world as we discuss from week to week very important issues. We ask that you will take today's proceedings into your hands and that you will direct. May the information presented prove meaningful. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
So viewers, we are here again on Let's Talk. I remind you that we have multiple ways of viewing in the event that something happens to your equipment. We are live on Second Advent Radio, likewise. That's our local radio station here. If you did get the link, you are most likely viewing us on our church channel, but you may also view on SLC Adventist. That's the regular South River Conference YouTube channel. And of course, we have individuals following us on Facebook at South Leeward Conference. So there are multiple ways of viewing, and we are delighted to welcome all of you, whatever platform you're on, to Let's Talk this afternoon. As I indicated, we're talking about diets, and we have with us a young lady out of Barbados, I believe, and she is an expert in the area of what we are talking about today. Let me introduce to you Sister Esther Selman. She is a graduate of Oakwood University, having graduated Oakwood with a Bachelor of Science degree in Dietetics. She went on in 2001 to do a master's degree in public health with specialty in health education and promotion from the Loma Linda University over in Loma Linda, California. Esther is a certified vegetarian food instructor and holds a certificate of training in adult with management from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Commission of Dietetics Registration in the United States. She is also the founder of and the director of the Caribbean Institute of Nutrition and Dietetics. So we have somebody this afternoon who is just has a wealth of experience in a number of areas. We are delighted to have you with us, Sister Selman. Good afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk.
Good afternoon, Dr. Greene, and thank you so much for inviting me to come and share with you this evening on Let's Talk.
All right, now a little later in the program, I'm going to be asking you about this Caribbean Institute of Nutrition and Dietetics. I'm sure that many of our viewers would be interested to know more about that. And I understand that you have a special seminar coming up later in June.
Yes.
So I'm going to put you on alert that we're going to want you to share that information with us. And if we seem to be going away and the time is going, you have the right to stop me and say, hey, let's remember to talk about this special seminar. But I'll try not to forget. Well, you know, last week we started a special series on health, the Adventist health message. We had with us Dr. Dos Santos, who, by the way, listeners, he's going to be back with us on the 29th of May. So you don't want to miss that one. We did not get through all the questions you had last week. So he has gracefully consented to be back with us. Got very positive reviews from the information he shared. And this afternoon, we are talking with, of course, Sister Selman, and we want to look more at this whole concept of diets. And this afternoon, our focus is, can we go overboard with what we have to do? So my first question to you, can one carry this diet thing too far? Is it possible to become fanatics in the area of diet? Sister Selman.
Yes, yes, it is possible that you can become fanatical. Actually, there is a condition called orthorexia, where some person has become so obsessed with eating healthy that they lose the concept of really what is true, the true meaning of healthy eating. There are some persons who also follow a very low carbohydrate diet. Is usually acronymed as VLCD, very low carbohydrate diet, and it can lead on to heart failure because one of the functions of the carbohydrate is to maintain the sodium and fluid balance. But when you are low or deficient in carbohydrates, it promotes loss of sodium and water, which can adversely affect the blood pressure and cardiac function, not in the body, leading out to heart failure. Another problem that very low carbohydrate diet can lead to is high blood cholesterol. And the reason it can lead to high blood cholesterol, because most times you decrease the amount of carbohydrate in the diet, but then you're increasing the dairy foods, you're increasing the meats. And we know that those type of foods are very high in saturated fat. They are also very high in calories. They are also high in cholesterol. So then the diet then becomes deficient in getting the protective fruits and vegetable intake. So then your cholesterol will be high. The other problem is that it also causes metabolic abnormalities. So with the metabolic abnormalities, when the carbohydrate intake is too low, ketones are produced from the fat to replace the carbohydrates as a source of energy for the brain, because the brain's preferred fuel is carbohydrates. So since the ketones are acid, high levels can make the blood acidic, altering the respiration and other metabolic processes that are sensitive to the increase or decrease of acidity.
Now, you have said quite a mouthful there. That's quite a lot. Now, it's just very amazing that, not giving attention to our diets can result in so many ill effects in the body.
Mhm.
And you are talking there about individuals who go to the extreme,
Extreme, yes.
and you're talking about carbohydrates, because I know that some persons are so concerned about their weight and
Mhm.
watching it. That so let me ask you this question then, because there are all kinds of philosophies out there regarding diet.
Mhm.
So for the benefit of our listeners, tell me in a simpler term as possible, what do I need to consider? What should I look for in a healthy diet?
Okay, so in a healthy diet is no rocket science or anything like that. Simple. Ensuring that you get your food groups. So when we are talking about your food groups, we're talking about your carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are your energy foods. That's what gives us the fuel. So if it is that we are, I like to line eating healthy with a car. You put fuel in your car to allow your food to operate and function and to go. You usually check the spark plugs on your car to make sure that it is running well. Well, fruit carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, those are what we call macronutrients. And that's what gives the body the energy, the calories. But then you have your micronutrients, just like the spark plugs, you're checking the car. So the micronutrients are there to provide protection for the body, and is also you get your vitamins and your minerals from that category of micronutrients. Additionally, we forget water, and water is also essential. It's good for the skin, it's good for the brain, and it's good to help in the process, digestive process within the body.
So now, for somebody who is listening, who is not very scientifically oriented, you're talking about macronutrients and micronutrients, and this balance. Can you break that down a little bit? Now, for the simple man out there who wants
Mm-hmm.
to know, hey, listen, I live by myself. I want
Mm-hmm.
to go to the supermarket. I want to shop. I want to cook. I want to eat. I want to make sure that my diet is balanced.
Okay. Well, we just need to make sure that we get our whole, okay, let's lump it into whole grains. So you have your cereals, you have your corn, you have oats, you have barley, you have sega, we have millet. Those are considered our complex carbohydrates. And then we have our ground foods or our starches, which would be yams and potato and edibles, and we have breadfruit. We have green banana, we have green plantain. Those will be considered good complex carbohydrates, power packed with fiber that's also going to help and give you more satiation. And then you also have the starchy vegetables. And most times we do not associate the starchy vegetables as in the category of the food group of carbohydrates. But I like to teach my clients that way. And the starchy vegetables would be, again, the English potato, the sweet potato, the pumpkin, and the squash, corn, and green sweet peas. And then you also have your processed grains, which will be the whole grain bread or the whole wheat bread. It would be the crackers. Those would be lumped into the category of carbohydrates. And then we have our proteins, and our proteins are divided into two categories. We have our animal protein as well as we have our plant proteins. So our animal protein will be our meats or red meats. You want to choose them lean if it is that you are using them. So that's your lamb, your beef, and your pork. That's considered your meats or your red meats. And then we have your chicken and poultry or chicken and turkey. And then we have fish. And it is advisable that if we are using fish, let's let it come from salmon, let it come from tuna, sardines, mackerel, or herring, because they are power packed with omega-3s, which is the good heart healthy fats. And then when we are talking about our plant proteins, that would be our legumes, or peas, or beans, or lentils, or nuts, or seeds. And then we have the plant milks. So then you have your dairy and your non-dairy, where you would have then your whole milk, you have your cheese, you will have your yogurt in that category. Cottage cheese will fall in there. But then you have the alternative, which could be your nut milks or your any of your plant milks, which could be oat milk, it could be rice milk, it could be almond milk, it could be soy milk. And in addition to that, we can also remember you can also have soy yogurt. So there's also the alternative to the dairy. So for instance, if you were to be putting then the whole food groups together, you have your carbohydrates we spoke about, you have your proteins, and then we have our fats. And our fats then would be our oils, olive oil, we have avocado pear, we have our nuts. Nuts falls into two categories. They can be a fat as well as they're also a protein. And then we also have then our micronutrients, which will be found in our fruits and vegetables.
Now,
So
now
that's
last week we had a very interesting discussion with Dr. Dos Santos, and I think we left our program last week concluding that a plant-based diet is the preferred diet. Now you mentioned there that if a person is using, let's say, fish, for example, you suggest that they use a certain kind, and if a
right.
person is using, let's say, well, I don't want to go into the chicken stuff right now because there's so much there. But I'm glad you gave the balance so that individuals can see that, you know, there are alternatives out there. But this question now is about vitamins, because you mentioned fruits, vegetables as ideal for providing the micronutrients. Say a word on vitamins.
Okay. We want to make sure that we get, there are certain vitamins that are considered, especially in this COVID environment in which we live in. We have vitamins A, C, and E. And those are what we call antioxidants. That means that they go into the body and they fight any free radicals, any antibodies, any viruses. That's what they are for. And then we also similarly have the phytochemicals, which are the carotene. So you have the beta carotene, which will be your yellows, your pumpkin, your squash, your carrots. And then we also have your lycopenes, which will be your reds, That's your red pepper. We have watermelon. We have our strawberries. We have our tomatoes, and so vitamins are necessary, but we also want to ensure that we also get our minerals. So we don't really want to be using like one specific food, because if it is that, let's say for instance you take a vitamin A, um, you're only going to get that vitamin A. But the benefits of getting your vitamins and your minerals together, you're going to be getting a combination of nutrients that your body needs. Take, for instance, broccoli. I consider broccoli my wonder vegetable. And the reason I do that, because it is power packed with so many nutrients. It has vitamin A, it has vitamin K, it has iron, it has protein, it has folate, it has fiber. So when you are, and then broccoli is part of the cruciferous vegetables that is protective for cancer, protective for boosting immune system. So there are so many different types of foods out there. So vitamins, you wouldn't want to just say, I want to have that one vitamin. You want to use a variety of foods so you will get your variety of vitamins that the body needs.
Thank you so much. Now, let me go back to last week again, and
Mm-hmm.
where we were talking about the value of a plant-based diet. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if we have a viewer who decides, listen, I want to choose the healthier choice, I want to go plant-based.
Mm-hmm.
How do I switch? Do I just give up my red meat, my fish,
Mm-hmm.
my chicken, and start cooking what?
Okay,
Share a bit.
sure. You want to start gradually. You want to start looking at first the plant-based diet. So the key concerns that are the switch, the food groups that you will need to switch in the plant-based diet will be your proteins, and it will be your dairy. And that is the main sources. And then some of the butters, some of the fats that you would want to use. Because there are some like there are some butters that is made from cow. So obviously we want to switch over to a plant-based butter that would be made from olives, or it can be made from soybeans. But if it is that you want to make that transition, first look at the diet and how you can substitute. So let's take for instance breakfast in the morning. Most times persons have breakfast in the morning and they're going to have a scrambled egg, and they may have white bread, or they may have crackers or something like that, and that's their breakfast. Now I'm going to make a tweak to that breakfast. You're going to switch up from, instead of having the scrambled egg, we will have scrambled tofu. And scrambled tofu is made from soybean curd. So it is a plant protein. Soybean is superior. It has the same amount of protein than when compared to the animal protein. So you will not be deficient in getting your nutrients, your macronutrient from the protein. And additionally, you can switch up, and rather than having the whole grain bread, you can use, instead of using the white bread, you can use the whole grain bread, or you can make an alternative and you can have breadfruit with that, which is similar to the same starch coming from the bread. It's just that it's wholesome, so it will not be processed like the whole grain bread would be. You can also use sweet potato. You can also have English potato. You can have plantain. So there are so many ways in which we can make that switch to even a healthier start. So yes, we are focusing on switching to the plant-based diet, but then we have to look at the type of carbohydrates that we're using, and we want to choose the ones that's power fat with fiber, that is going to give you more satiation and help you stay full for a longer time. So we would have had then our scrambled tofu, we would have had our grilled sweet potato, and then you can have almond milk with that, and then you can have an apple or whatever favorite fruit you want to have, and that is a complete meal. Easy breezy.
I wanted to ask you earlier when you were breaking down the carbohydrates and the proteins, etc. And I noted that your examples did not include white flour and white rice and those kinds of things.
Mm.
Any reason for that?
Okay, well, if it is that we want to go on the route of having and practicing a healthier diet, we would want to choose foods that would provide the nutrients, the necessary nutrients that our body needs for functioning. And when we are thinking about white rice, it will not provide those amount of nutrients that our body needs. Additionally, it will not have the amount of fiber that our body requires, be able to give us that fullness, that satiation. So that is the reason why you would not hear me. I would not mention the white um, rice or the white flour, because really and truly they lack the amount of nutrients that your body needs. And you want to use foods that has that nutritive value of like I say, back to the car example again. In the US, and you go to put gas in the car, they have three different levels. There's 78, there's 80, there's 89. We want to put 89 food in our body, the superior food, the optimum food into our bodies. But when you go and you have the white rice or the white crackers, or even chips, potato chips, you're only getting 78. So you're getting very low nutrition value, and we want to always make sure that we get that superior food.
Thank you so much. Now let's switch to something else.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a hotel. I was attending a seminar
Mm-hmm.
one morning while we were there at this conference. It was breakfast time, and when I
Mm-hmm.
overheard a conversation between two of my colleagues, I became interested because one was telling the other that he should not eat his foods first. He was saying, listen, eat something and then eat your fruits. And then the other
Mm-hmm.
person was saying, no, the healthier choice is you should eat your fruits on an empty stomach. Now they were both talking about health and what was healthy. One was saying it should be this way, the other was saying it should be that way. Is eating to be that complicated? What are the benefits of, should I pay attention to making sure that I eat my foods first? Some people say you should not mix fruits and vegetables. Let's hear your counsel on this.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it this way. Fruits, when we choose the fruits that we are using, when we use the fruits, we we don't eating doesn't need to be that complicated. We need it needs to be fun. It needs to be enjoyable. When we sit to eat at the table, it needs to be a time where we are looking forward to food. Right now, my husband is there eating and I'm not, because that is an enjoyable, it's an enjoyable time for us, especially Sabbath meal, where we come together as a family and enjoy that meals. So let's go back now to talking about eating your fruits first in the morning. I would say it this way. The first thing you need to have in the morning is some water and some lemon juice. Because what that does to the body, first of all, it helps you first to be regular. You're getting that water, then it is good for your skin. Then it helps in boosting your immune system because you're getting that vitamin C from the lemon. Additionally, it is also beneficial because it helps to alkaline the body. So start your day with some lemon water. Now, as it relates to eating your fruit first and eating it after, actually, when you eat your fruit, there are some persons who believe that eating your fruit with your meal, it slows it impairs or impacts on your digestion, but it really does not. Having your fruit with your meal, having the fruit after your meal or before your meal, it's just a matter of choice. But as it relates to what is happening inside your body, it actually helps in, because it's so power packed with fiber, it helps in slowing down your digestion, which is a good thing. So you want to your stomach is designed to digest and to prevent the growth of bacteria. We have a low pH in our stomach, so it will take care of anything that is there to cause harm to the body. So eating your fruits before eating it after. For me, I like to eat my fruit after. And the reason I do that, because of the pectin that's in there, and it helps in settling your stomach. So that's that's how I would answer that question.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I did comment back then that I think God gave us food to enjoy, and
Mm-hmm.
we should not be, be worried about, am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong?
Mm-hmm.
But you mentioned the pH of the stomach.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting area there, because there is also another popular saying these days that we need to eat alkaline foods versus acidic foods, and I see so many WhatsApp messages that says,
Mm-hmm.
early in the morning, put a glass of I mean not a lemon in a glass of water and drink it, and you're going to get cured from this, you're going to get cured from that, etc. um, Tell me about this thing about whether I should be buying alkaline water from the
Mm-hmm.
store to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that my body is alkaline versus acidic. Because in school I learned that the body regulates itself. So help me
Mm-hmm.
out here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but right, and you are correct. The body regulates itself. So to be going to buy alkaline water is not really necessary. The reason it's not necessary because the fruits and the vegetables are both already alkaline, and they're gonna um, help in regulating the acid in the acid in the body. So it is really not necessary to purchase alkaline water. You just need some filtered water. Just get some tap water if you want to boil it, or if you want to put a filter on your water. That will be fine. But it's really not necessary, and there's not evidence to support that the persons that do that, that's their income. So then they would be saying that there's a reason that you need to do that, but you really don't need to be to having specifically to be drinking your alkaline water. Like I said just now, when you have the lemon and the water together, it alkalines your body. So simply just adding some lemon and water to your water is a simple way. Eating more of your fruits, eating more of your vegetables. That's the way your body will alkaline and balances itself.
Now, while we're on this topic, let me bring up another thing here, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're bombarded by so many of these things. You wonder,
Mm-hmm.
what in the world am I going to eat? So there is this matter of mixing fruits and vegetables. I hear this very often. It
Mm-hmm.
concerns whether, am I eating fruits by itself, vegetables by
Mm-hmm.
itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's said that we should not mix fruits and vegetables. Now,
Mm-hmm.
my challenge is how do we define fruits and vegetables? Pumpkins, cucumbers,
Mm-hmm.
okras are often called vegetables, but
Mm-hmm.
technically, based
They're
on my
fruits.
knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
they're fruits.
Mm-hmm.
They're plant bearing, I mean, seed bearing
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So, how am I to understand this? Or does it really matter? Vegetables versus fruits. Does it really matter that I should separate them out? I should eat them together? Help me out here, please.
Okay. When there's a passage in Counsels on Diets and Foods by Ellen G. White that speaks to not mixing your fruits and vegetables, and I think this is where that thought comes from. But she says that if you have a weak stomach, so there are some persons who may have gastroesophageal reflux disease, or abbreviated as GERD, and if it is that you do have that concern, it's usually advisable to avoid foods that are acidic, foods that are spicy. But then with the GERD diet or peptide ulcer diet, there's no one specific diet. It is as tolerated. And so if it is that if some person uses pineapple, like for instance, pineapple is one considered a very one of the citrus foods, very high in acid. However, it also contains bromelain that is good at settling your stomach. So on one hand, you you have to go with how it impacts on your body. So an example would be, if it is that you were to eat oranges, for instance, and it did not bother you, but another person may eat the orange and they have reflux disease and it bothers them, but then you would not. Now, as it relates to not having your fruits and not having your vegetables together, let's assume that I am making a salad and my salad has spinach in it and it has broccoli in it that has iron in it. In order for the iron, because, okay, let me just break this down really quick. There are two types of iron. There's heme iron and there's non-heme iron. The heme iron comes from the animal foods, and that is readily, the iron from the animal foods, that's readily absorbed in the body. However, the non-heme iron comes from the plant sources or plant foods. In order for the iron in the plant foods to be absorbed into your body, it needs help. It needs vitamin C. So when you're making a salad and you have all of your green leafy vegetables, put some, and you put your orange sections in there or tangerine sections in there, or you put pineapple in there or cranberries, which is a fruit, it is in the absorption of that iron in the body. So that is why you have to really understand the mechanism, the chemistry that occurs between foods. Carrots as well needs some oil to help in the absorption of the beta carotene in there. So you need to have some olive oil to help in the absorption of the nutrient in the food. So that's why you will see your salads and you will have some oil in your salad to aid in the absorption of the beta carotene. So when you understand the chemistry and the synergy that occurs between the fruits and vegetables, they are not enemies, they're friends. So we need to have them together.
Now, I have to say that your counsel is so practical, so instructive. Maybe all of our listeners need to get so much more. So this is just about as good a time as ever for us to talk about this Caribbean Institute of I mean, did I say it right? Caribbean Institute of Food is in Nutrition and Dietetics.
Nutrition
So
and dietetics, yes.
tell me about this. And I know you have a seminar coming up sometime in June.
Yes, I'm just going to quickly say, because I know that we are short for time, but I'm just going to quickly say that it's an institute that I was passionate about, and it started in 2005, and we're really about nutrition, exercise, and wellness. So um, our clients who come to us, we aid in helping them to reverse the condition. So let's assume that you have diabetes, be beneficial. Now, is if you have diabetes, is we are helpful to help you um, to get over your, or reverse your diabetes, get off the medication, because that's usually be the main concern for the clients. My persons here that diabetes, they believe is the end of the world. And what we try to do is to educate our clients using the therapeutic approach as well as a practical approach. And when I say the practical approach, I'm talking about having cooking classes. So one of the things we do, we have the nutrition consultation, then we also have the practical approach, and then we think about our health professionals. And hence the reason why from since 2016, we have been conducting a plant-based nutrition conference, and we are having one coming up in June the 27th, from 9 a.m. in the mornings virtual to 2 p.m. And we will be having key speakers to come and share with us. We have Dr. Neil Bernard. He is an avid supporter of plant-based nutrition, and he is going to be our keynote speaker. We also have Dr. Williams. She's from Paho here in Barbados, and her theme will be the call to action, planting crops versus raising animals. Dr. Elliot Duglin, he is a physician, and he'll be speaking about planting protection for COVID-19. And we have Dr. Cheryl Rock. She's a food scientist from California State University, and she's looking at the ethone medicine of chemoprotective potential of MOBI. Dr. Virginia Gray, She will be focusing on pediatric nutrition. Dr. Timothy McLaughlin, he's an epidemiologist in Cayman Islands, and he will be speaking about planting to support healthy aging. And because I like the practical approach, I will be also conducting a 5-minute cooking demos on cooking plant food as medicine. And we have that is just, and the website is www.kindservice.com, or you can send me an email for more information, info for kindservice@gmail.com.
All right, at the end of the program, I'm going to ask you to repeat that so that our viewers can get it. It sounds pretty exciting. I am planning to be there. I hope I'm available on, what's the date again? June?
It's on June 27th, and that's a Sunday.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Now we have a barrage of questions here. So let's take a few of them. I think one of the first questions we had to do with your mention earlier of oils, and somebody was, I'm trying to locate the question here. Somebody was asking about, let's see what it says. What advantage does olive oil have over other vegetable oils?
Okay, when you look at all the oils, if you were to break them down, we have saturated fat, and then we have unsaturated fat. And then the unsaturated fat is broken down to monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. Now, this may sound like Greek, but simply terms, olive oil is the least in mono and in saturated fat, and it is high in monounsaturated fat, meaning that it is one of the good heart healthy fats that's good for your body. Canola oil is also another one that is high in monounsaturated fat. And then we have rapeseed. We also have peanut oil. That's also another benefit of one of the fats. So the key is to try to reduce the saturated fat in your diet. Saturated fat mainly comes from your animal foods, and the monounsaturated fat and the polyunsaturated fat, those are the ones that we need to consume more. So you would have heard about omega-3. Omega-3 is a monounsaturated fat, and omega-6 is the polyunsaturated fat. Mono and poly just mean that the mono has meaning one double bond to attach to the hydrogen group, and poly means it has more than one double bond. So that's a very simple way for me to explain it.
Now there is a debate about coconut oil. I don't know, you have been in this business for how long? 20 years plus, maybe?
20 plus, yeah. 25 this year.
So some folks say, yes, there is saturated fat in coconut oil, but it's plant-based, so it's good. What's your counsel?
Okay, my counsel is to be cautious with coconut oil, and this is why. Even though coconut is a plant source, it still has the saturated fat in there. Now, when you consume a diet that is high in saturated fat, it raises your triglycerides, it raises your cholesterol. So you've heard about LDL and HDL. So then it would raise the LDL and lower the HDL, which is the high density lipoproteins, and LDLs means low density lipoproteins. So you just would need to be cautious. I know that coconut is one of our tropical oils, just like we have palm oil. But if you think that because of the high saturated fat in the coconut oil and the palm oil, they're mainly used in a lot of food preparations because one, the oil is much cheaper to obtain, and two, it gives a longer shelf life to prepared foods. But you still need to be cautious with the coconut oil, even though it may be a plant source.
All right, here's another question from one of our viewers. This person says, I consume lots of cashews. Is it bad?
Everything we need to do must be done in temperate or in moderation. So there's a song that says, and we would have heard it in Sabbath school, temperate boys and girls are weak. And that goes to the same thing. As much as something is good, it can be bad. So I remember one time I was conducting a weight management course, and this lady told me, I don't understand how come I'm gaining weight all the time, because I am eating a lot of nuts and I'm eating plant-based and I'm eating healthy and everything like that. But the amount of fat that she told me, sorry, the amount of nuts that she told me that she was consuming, that was where her problem was. Now let me break down 1 gram of carbohydrates. 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. 1 gram equals 4 calories. 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories, double the amount of calories that is in the carbohydrates and the fat. Therefore, if you are consuming lots of nuts, just know you will be getting a lot of calories, even though nuts contain the healthy fat. So it is important for us to think about that. That's the reason why when persons tell me that they want to lose weight and they're cutting back their carbohydrates, but then you're going to go on the ketogenic diet or something like that to help you to lose weight, it really makes no sense. And that's another subject matter. But those type of diets are really not advisable because you are lacking a lot of your necessary nutrients that your body needs.
Very, very profound. Now, somebody's asking here. Oh, well, this person says, I can't eat or drink anything with soy. What's the next alternative?
Okay, that's fine. If you cannot use soy, you can use almond milk. You can use oat milk. You can use cashew milk. You can use rice milk. And I think it is important for that individual to sit with a dietitian, because this is where you get the extremes in the diet, where you try on your own to eat healthy, but sitting with the dietitian helps to be able to guide you into the right way of ensuring that you get those necessary nutrients that I would have spoken about at the beginning of our Let's Talk program. And you want to make sure that you don't deprive yourself of those key nutrients that your body needs, of the protein that your body needs, because protein is necessary for growth and development. So that is something that we would need to stay focused on.
Now earlier you mentioned just a while ago, in fact, that you know, the white rice and the white flour is not necessarily the best choice. So this person is saying, well, what if I put some peas in the rice?
What if I do what?
Put some beans in the white rice.
Yes. So let me tell you how to do it. And I like you say, I've been doing this now for 25 years. So I have heard all different types of questions. All questions, I've heard them before. So I have some clients who will not, may not like the peas and beans, and for several reasons. So if it is that you still like to have your white rice, because some of my clients tell me, I don't like the brown rice, I'm not going to use brown rice. I said, fine. Just use 25% white rice and 75% peas and beans when you're cooking. In addition to that, you can use some barley, pearl barley. So you can add the pearl barley to your rice, add the peas or beans, whichever is your choice, to your rice, and then you will still be having a meal that is wholesome, one that is power packed with nutrients, and one that still will have the fiber that your body needs. So that's okay.
Let me see if I got your percentages correctly. Did you say 25%?
25%, yes. So it's like a quarter. So you know when you're measuring out the rice to cook, you will put it in the container, and you may fill the container with 100%, you know, rice if you're putting a cup of rice. But rather than putting a cup of rice, you will put a quarter cup of rice. And then you will also put, you can also put like a third of the barley, and then you can put the other half to be coming from the peas or beans. Yeah. So that's how you can break it down. So in that way, you're going to get the fiber coming from the barley, and you're going to get the fiber coming from the peas and beans, and you're getting additional nutrients coming from those foods as well.
All right, one more question here. What is the difference between juice and the raw vegetables and fruits? Because, says the listener, I will easily drink juice when eat what? I will easier drink juice than eating vegetables and fruits.
Okay. Now, I know and I'm thankful for that question, because there's we tend to juice a lot. But when you juice, think about it. The fiber, what is left back, the peth, is the fiber. And what do we do with that? We throw it down the garbage. But what you are drinking is really the fructose, the sugar. So what you need to do is to blend, if anything. So if you're not a person who can eat your vegetables or even your fruits, you can blend them and make them into smoothie. And you can actually create a meal from the smoothie. So an example would be, if you were to have, let's say, for instance, you did a green smoothie, because everybody likes to talk about greens. So let's go with that one. So you were to have spinach, you had kale, you had cucumber, you had ginger, because what the ginger does, it would takes away get out of flavor. You can use coconut water. Then you can add some powdered oat milk, and you can add some peanut butter to that. When you blend it, you would have actually created a meal. You can also add some linseed and some wheat germ. That it will be your fat part of the meal. And you blend that together, you would have had your vegetables, you had your fruit, because you're going to add some banana or apple to that too as well. And then you are going to add your carbohydrates would be coming from the fruit, in addition to the oats, the ground oats or barley, whichever one your choice. And then you're going to have your vegetables, which will be your kale, your spinach, your cucumber, and you blend it all together with some coconut water. If you want to, you can also add some rice milk or soy milk or whichever milk you choose, and you would have had a meal right there in the cup.
Now, we have a few more questions, but let's go here now. From your experience in dealing in the field of nutrition over the years, what do you think is one of the most vital bits of information the public needs to hear?
One information, because as I think in my practice going through, whenever I am finished counseling a client, especially when I have to counsel kids, and I would have conducted my food diary with them, I realized that parents, and I'm taking my time in answering this question because I want to make sure that I say it the right way. But parents need to model those behaviors that they want their children to emulate. I believe that healthy eating begins at infancy. So from the time the baby is born, the first food of choice is breast milk, or I should say should be breast milk. And that is straight up to a year. If you can go 2 years, go 2 years. Now, when they reach 6 months, is when you want to start. That's when the introduction of food begins. And the introduction of food can be simple food, where you're dealing with potato, you're dealing with carrots, and you introduce food gradually. Now, most times we think that we need to incorporate the chips or the crackers, the cookies. That is where the problem begins. The problem begins there because we have actually altered the child's taste buds. We have also impacted on their brain, because the insecticides, those messengers, are looking for that particular taste in the cookie when you give them the fruit and when you give them the vegetable. So if you want to give your child snacks, give them fruit, give them vegetables. It continues into adulthood. So then you do not have no problem then when they become a teenager trying to get they eat their fruits and vegetables. And the reason I'm saying this, because I have practiced this with my children. I've practiced it with my grandchildren. Well, So my children would eat their vegetables now. Up to I don't have no problems with my children. They're all grown, but I don't have any problem. And now my grandson, his beverage of choice is water, not juice, water. His snack of choice, he is 4. His snack of choice is fruit. If he gets a cookie, that's like once a month. So I am saying, parents, please give your start early with healthy eating and model those behaviors to your children.
And I listened to a program, a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
a few months ago. It was on sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is another topic altogether, but it was interesting that they were saying that the added sugar in some foods serve no other purpose than the addictive nature
Mm-hmm.
of the sugar. So they were
Mm-hmm.
saying, for example, in some breads they put sugar. Why do you need to put sugar in there? But they said sugar is very addictive,
Mm-hmm.
and it would make people want to go back. I
Mm-hmm.
found that to be very interesting.
Yes, when you give a child sugar for the first time, it responds in the brain or in the body like they had drugs. So
Um,
then they are looking for, it's like you get that first high, they are looking for that high again when you give them the next food. So when you give them the fruit, it does not taste good. They ain't eating it. So then we have picky eaters. I spoke to a church on Wednesday night, and we were talking about that, whereby, and like I said, that's another subject. So I'm even gonna continue no more.
yeah, well. Maybe when you come back for the next program, when we talk about child obesity, we can do
Mm-hmm.
that one.
Yes.
Uh, our time is going, but there are well, we have a few questions here. Let's see if we can squeeze these in rather very quickly. This person wants to know, you mentioned something about lemon earlier. The lemon in the water, should the water be
Mm-hmm.
warm, or does it matter if it's
Okay.
warm, it's cold?
Okay. Whenever we eat anything, it needs to be at body temperature. Therefore, if it is that we are having our lemon water in the morning, it needs to be cool. It needs to be lukewarm, I should say, because it needs to be similar and very close to our body temperature. Also, if you have the water too hot and then you have the lemon, it can destroy the vitamin C because heat destroys vitamin C. So you want to pay attention to that.
I'm almost tempted to ask you, so what about folks who like to drink a lot of cold water?
Same thing.
All right.
And
Now,
I know that is a habit or practice, but yeah.
all right. Yeah, let's take this question. This person is asking, said, I've learned if you eat your fruit with your meat or too soon after your food, it ferments in your stomach. Is that true?
Um, no, that's not true because if any fermentation in your stomach is mostly going to be from the meat, because the meat is going to stay in your stomach much longer or stay in your colon really. It's not really your stomach it's staying in, it's your colon. And that's why there's a lot of diseases like cancer in the colon because we're eating a high protein diet, animal protein diet, and it is lodging and staying in there because we're eating the high protein diet, but we're not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. So think about it this way: when you eat more fruits and vegetables, it functions in the body like someone sweeping the road. If you have a lot of debris, like recently in Barbados, we had a lot of ash, and we had to be sweeping all the sides of the road to get rid of the ash. So the ash is like the fiber from the fruits and the vegetables. The more fruits and vegetables you consume, the more fiber is in your body, and then that acts like a broom to get out all of that, I want to say rotten meat for lack of a better word, but it gets all of the beats out of all of the stuff out of your body. So if it is that you are thinking about, you know, fermentation, no, not from your fruits and
This is an
vegetables.
interesting question. We have a lot of processed vegetarian foods rather,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
vegetarian bacon, vegetarian turkey, vegetarian chicken
mm-hmm.
substitute.
Yeah,
How safe are these? They often contain so many ingredients.
that is true. And that is the reason why when we are following or want to transition over to a plant-based diet, let us choose wholesome foods, foods that are not processed. One of the things I do, well, one of the products I have produced is a plant-based cheese. And that is no preservatives, no animal products whatsoever. It's all plant-based and it's power packed with fiber. That is considered a wholesome food, not processed or anything like that. Now, when you use the other foods, like it's supposed to be the alternatives, the plant-based alternative, they are supposed to be there as a to help us transition over to a wholesome, fresh plant-based diet. But when we like I say, it's supposed to be a transition. But what we tend to do is to stay on the bridge too long. So we eat all the processed foods, and then we come down with some health condition, and then we blame it on the plant-based diet. But it's not the plant-based diet, it's the processed foods that you are constantly using. Remember, I give you the example just now of if you want to use the white rice, you want to at least use a quarter. Well, that is how you need to align the plant-based diet, those foods. If it is that you're going to use processed foods, let them be less. Dr. Esther, when they would have done research looking at the Chinese study, they look and they said that and on farts overnight, you may have heard about farts overnight, but when they would have done their research, they recognized that persons who consume more than 20% of animal protein in the diet, that's what led to the cancers. They looked at persons in the Philippines. They also look at persons in I think Japan. When the Russians came in, the Russians took over the persons, the local people diet and ate all the meats and everything like that, and they came down with with um with cancer and all diabetes, all of the communicable diseases. But when they went back and the person start back eating regularly, everything went back. No health concerns or anything like that.
Interesting. Now our time is just about expired, but I can't leave without asking.
Already?
Already, that's right. But we will have a part two, with your consent, of course. I have to ask you this question though. There are many among us who feel that if you eat healthy, you do not need to take the COVID vaccine. I've heard this so often. I've had a few programs with vaccines, and I'm bombarded with follow the New Start diet. You don't need a vaccine. What's your counsel as a nutritionist? What's your counsel?
Okay, this is it. This is my counsel. If you eat a healthy diet, the chances of contracting the virus are not guaranteed. I know of persons who practice eating a healthy diet, still come down with cancer, still come down with diabetes. So it's not guaranteed. However, a person taking their zinc, their D3, their vitamin C, in addition to a healthy diet, you stand a better chance at not contracting the disease. However, if you do, the symptoms will not be as severe and you can avoid being hospitalized or dying from the disease. Now, if you get the vaccine and you contract the virus, you may be asymptomatic, meaning that if you have it and you don't know that you have it because it's not affecting you, the research is now saying that if you get the vaccine, it is unlikely that you will pass it on to someone else. So it's like wearing a seatbelt. I've heard one of my cousins physicians say it this way: you wear a seatbelt to protect you. The same way the vaccine is similar to the seatbelt. You take the vaccine to protect you, in addition to also eating a healthy diet.
Well, that's all the time we have. Your nutrition conference is June 27.
Mhm.
Just in one, give me the website again so that the folks can hear where they can get the information.
www.CIND service.com, and or you can also send me an email, info the number 4 CIND service.com.
Wonderful. It was such a delight talking with you. I am so glad I chose to have you on this program. We are looking forward to part 2. We will see next week when that is. We do appreciate it. Our time has gone, so we have to stop here for now.